Marcia, at the beginning of the semester, the students have issues about getting their computer up and running
Yes.
so that they can hear what we're trying to tell them.
Yes.
What do they need? That whiz-bang orientation you did with PowerPoint or Audacity, GarageBand, and Articulate, what does the student have to have on their end to play that?
Okay, if you go to our distance learning website, all right, you have a lot of resources there that the distance learning people have created. So Curtis and Cindy have worked on a lot of links here. So I recommend that you get familiar with the area here because it'll get started for instructors and students. And if you're new, there are links for what your computer needs on it, system requirements, something that'll check what kind of browser you're using, plugins that you'll need, Flash and so forth.
Do they need all that for your presentation?
No. Okay, so for playing the presentation that's built in Articulate, I think they all only need to have Flash, a Flash plugin. Okay, and that's pretty common nowadays, and it's easy download. What else? For CCC Confer, they have the backbone is Wimba, and they have their own plugin. But when you run your computer, you do it once, and that's it, and then you don't ever have to come back to it again unless you like reinstall your system software. And then whenever they come back to listen to an archive and watch an archive, then they'll be set up for it. So it's kind of like you do it once, and then you're set up. But then if you go to another computer, you have to do it on your other computer. So if you're using CCC Confer, it's a wizard. So it'll say number 1, click here, and you just click there, and it does its thing. And then number 2, go get the program, and then you get it. So it shouldn't be a difficult thing for them if you're using it.
How many of your students showed up to the CCC Confer?
Well, the first day, the first week, I urged them, right? I saw them face to face on the first night, but not every week. So I saw those of them that I did see, and I urged them to come if they hadn't already had web conferencing experience. And ESL students, not many of them do. Maybe a few of them who are making systems like this, but most of them don't, right? So a lot of them came, and then a few people logged on from a distance. And then there's a bunch of people who are still like that. I don't know. You have those people. So the next few days, I used to do huge long telephone conversations with everybody to help them come in, and I thought, well, okay, I'll spend 30 hours to make this a course overview, and maybe it'll make up for the 30 hours that I spent individually tutoring everybody to say, come on into my course. Maybe. It hasn't paid back yet, but I'm thinking totally years ago. Besides, it was fun.
I would challenge you too. I had office hours in Singapore and time set for working. So that happened for every day for 2 months. I had stopped. And I told you just let me know if you're gonna come in. I want to stop there.
Okay, you know how you can let people. There's a tool in Angel called Poll, Course Poll, Quick Poll, and that's really cool. So you can. I felt like you did at first. Nobody's here. Why am I here? So there are 2 things I did. One of them was I put up a course poll, and I said on at what at a time I'm doing a teaching confer. Then you just click yes, I'm coming, no, I'm not, or maybe. So that way I got an idea. So then I got to give my audience. You want to see where that is?
No, I was just thinking, among my students, I would get a lot of maybes because they don't like to say no.
Okay, you understand what the maybe means after you've done it a couple of times, right? And then you'll be able to gear it. But then I said, what the hey, if they're not coming in you expect them to come in to ask you questions, but they're not going to be there asking you questions because they'd rather lurk. And if they expected to ask questions to promote your class, they might not come back. So I said, I better be prepared. So that's why I said, okay, every time I'm getting prepared with my lecture material. And then if they come, great, we'll have interaction. And if they don't, I'll provide them a lesson, and then we'll record it, and then they can come back and listen to it. So that's how I got myself through that. Oh, nobody's coming thing, and then then I check, because you can check on reports if you set it up so that your objects are tracking. You know about tracking? You can track your objects, so you can find out if students are accessing any object, and then you can find out how many students have accessed a particular object, for example, an archive. Let me just see if, for example, in my advanced ESL class, in my lessons, I have a folder with Teach and Confer archive links. Now, actually, you don't have to do this because you can teach them to go to CCC Confer and go look for the links themselves. But I teach ESL students and they're kind of confused about stuff, and so I like to give them the link here, and that way I can track it. If I don't have it in Angel, you can't track it, right? So here's my CCC Confer archives, and let's say I want to go here in settings. I can say I'm setting this up so my access is user tracking for students. I don't want to track myself. I will go back there a lot of times, but I just want to track the number of students hits. So then I can go into reports, and I can go activity summary, and this shows me how many students. There are 8 different users who hit this site, this object, this learning object. How many times? The number from 1 to 4. Okay, so that way you can drill down. You can go into details, and you can find out who those screen names really are, and what time and what date they actually access, if you really want to know that much detail. But this is good enough for me, because I go like, is it worth my archiving it? It's so much trouble. I mean, you think of all the time that goes in it, and then I look at this and I go, yeah, I think so. If I can get this many students to access my lecture, I know that they're not lost words. Any other questions? Okay, great. Well, thank you so much. I thank the panel very much for presenting today. And I'm sure that many of us